bailment may be defined insofar as it applies to this case as a contract for the delivery of personal property for safekeeping and is a contract which is contemplated to be beneficial to both parties thereto. Where the bailment is reciprocally beneficial to both parties, as in this case the bailee, the defendant in this case is liable to the bailor, the plaintiff in this case, for the failure to exercise ordinary or reasonable care in the absence of a special agreement to the contrary. You are instructed that the defendant was negligent if he failed to exercise the degree of care in protecting the plaintiff's property that an ordinarily careful and prudent person would have exercised under the same or similar circumstances. If the defendant used ordinary care and diligence, then he is not liable. But if he failed to use the ordinary care and diligence that an ordinarily prudent person would have used under the circumstances, then he is liable. The burden of proof is upon the plaintiff to prove, by a fair preponderance of the evidence, that there was a neglect of duty that the defendant owed to him when the defendants became a bailee of this automobile. This is a common companion case to Subdivision 57, decided this day. International Fur and Leather Workers Union filed a charge with the National Labor Relations Board alleging that respondent Hudson Manufacturing Company had interfered with the guaranteed rights of its employees. This charge was filed in April 1996. A complaint was filed based on the charges in February 1957. At the hearing, Hudson sought to prove that certain affidavits filed by officers of the union were false. The trial examination ruled in accordance with the board's practice that that issue could not be litigated in the proceeding. The trial examiner recommended that an appropriate remedial order be examined to correct the necessary unfair labor practice which he found to exist. The board in general sustained the trial examiner and examined a remedial order against Hudson. Prior to this order, the board had been enjoined from taking administrative action requiring the union's officers to reaffirm their affidavits. In August 1958, an indictment was returned against Walter Peck, an officer of the union, charging that the affidavit which he filed with the board on August 30th, 1995 was false. Peck was convicted for that offense. Thereafter, the board ordered and the union showed cause why its compliance status under the Act was altered unless Peck were removed from office. The union re-elected Peck as its president. Shortly thereafter, the board declared the union out of compliance with Section 9H. The union then obtained a preliminary injunction from the district court enjoining the board from altering or restricting the union's compliance status by reason of Peck's conviction. The Court of Appeals affirmed. The board sought a stay of the preliminary injunction pending decision by the Court of Appeals in the case of Larson versus United Electrical Workers. When the stay was denied, the board petitioned the court below pursuant to Section 10E of the Act for enforcement of the unfair labor practice order. Respondent Hudson Manufacturing Company moved for dismissal of the enforcement petition on the ground of Peck's conviction for false filing under Section 9H. The union intervened and opposed the motion to dismiss. The court is below granted the motion to dismiss, holding that since the falsity of the affidavit had been proved, the requirements of Section 9H had not been met, and no benefits should be accorded the union.